I think the most important issue in this election is about safety. And one of the main problems that we've got is that safety is divided over multiple different agencies. It's why when I have said that on day one, I will call for gun violence to be issued as a public health emergency and coordinate all of our different agencies together, including federal and state, including our district attorney, sheriff's office, including private partners, the school district, SEPTA, PHA, all of whom have independent security forces. We need to pull the city together and all of its different agencies to deliver on a mission for safety for all of our residents. And we have seen far too many incidences of young people being hurt going to or from school or in those critical hours between 3 and 6 p.m., where we've mostly abandoned a lot of after-school programming, particularly in neighborhoods that are heavily impacted by violence. So those are going to be some of the core areas that we're going to look on in ensuring that I have a laser focus on all these young people who are in the path of violence right now.
You've given us several major hints of how you would approach it. You've used and you've leveraged the city budget to introduce new ideas and have new partners, such as the Mobile Crisis Health Unit. Looking back, how do you consider, or I guess qualitatively, how do you look at the effects that that effort had after you invested in it during implementation?
The mental health crisis units? Okay, so the non-police mobile mental health crisis units were really meant to address a problem that we were seeing in the city, which is that a lot of calls go through 911, many of which do not necessarily demand a formal police response. Many of them deal with mental health crises, issues, domestic violence, things that we're trying to de-escalate, calm down situations, and then deliver a real plan for addressing them. Philadelphia is consistently in a pilot phase. We experiment, we scramble dollars for small amounts here and there. Some of them show promise and demonstration, but we don't leverage in, so they remain dysfunctional and ineffective at the end of the day. Because 2 mental health mobile crisis units, no matter how well-intentioned or how professional they may be, cannot possibly meet the needs of the entire city. And so, under my administration, we're certainly going to see that double down. But it was also important to note that there were many other things that I also promoted in an anti-violence measure as a city council member. One of them was also focusing a lot, I said, that there are a lot of young people who are involved in either side of a gun right now. Among the things that I've really focused in on was delivering a youth anti-violence agenda. It talked about looking at young people, making sure that there was employment, reconnections with mental health services, education, relocation. I fought for $300,000 in relocation solely targeted to young people who are leaving the Juvenile Justice Services Center. And then making sure that the courts and our Department of DHS, our Department of Behavioral Health Services are leaning in and creating new programs and partnerships with community members who can actually reach many of these young people. This is separate from opening up libraries and recreation centers, which I'm 1,000% in support of. But this is about a real look at young people who are involved in pretty serious incidences, demonstrate high-risk factors, and we need to bring them back. But we're not going to do it solely through probation and by monitoring and suppressing them. And so a lot of my work is around reorienting all of our city agencies to go away from like our traditional ways of breaking apart families or pushing young people to the side or thinking of them after an afterthought, and then focusing all of our energy on tapping into their fullest potential. But I think I'm the only candidate that's released an actual youth anti-violence agenda that shows what that looks like and holds a lot of different entities accountable, not just the city, but the school district as well.
Should Philadelphia defund the police?
No. One, we're not defunding the police, okay? We have the largest police budget in history right now. And I want us to not use these slogans because we have serious issues. I've made it very clear that as mayor, I am not coming in to dismantle departments that I myself run. That is a very important aspect to being the mayor. I've made it clear that my job is to actually make these often dysfunctional agencies and entities, whether we're talking about schools or whether we're talking about different agencies, L&I, our our child welfare system, or policing. I'm here to make them more responsive and more responsible to communities, to make them more functional, competent than they've ever been. I have a unique focus on communities and how communities experience the city. Not how the city delivers services to communities, but how communities receive those services, whether they feel like those services actually improve their lives, clean up their streets, educate their children, provide safety in the neighborhoods. I don't think that other people see themselves that way. I think most people see themselves as managing agencies. I'm trying to deploy, change, and transform the way we deliver city services here in the city of Philadelphia.